Much pride in this room, so much energy, so much determination, so much courage, so much willpower. It's everything that we need at this moment. Because I don't have to tell you that thanks to those who are currently in power and hold these positions of public trust, our governor, our lieutenant governor, our attorney general, the Republican majority in the state legislature, they have produced such a darkness that has descended on this state. And it affects each and every single one of us. Our next Attorney General was talking about the attack on women and the fact that 49 years after Texas women, including Jane Roe and her attorneys Sarah Weddington and Linda Coffey, won that important decision, Roe versus Wade, in the Supreme Court of the United States. Now in this state, no woman is able to make her own decisions about her own body, her own health care, and her own future. And there's no exception for rape or incest, something that would have been hard to have imagined only years or maybe even months ago. It is the law of the land today in a state that leads the developed world in the rate of maternal mortality, especially bad for women of color and black women among us. It is in this same state that a governor, instead of after the shooting in El Paso that killed 23 people, after Sutherland Springs and Santa Fe High School and Midland, Odessa, and now Uvalde, has done nothing to keep guns out of the hands of people who would use them against us and our kids. In fact, signed legislation last year against the advice and guidance of police officers and sheriff's deputies that will allow any Texan to carry a gun in public, to carry it anywhere without a background check, without any vetting, without any training whatsoever. And predictably, gun violence has gone through the roof. More cops have been gunned down in this state than in any other. And we were just in Uvalde with those parents this past Sunday, and talking to those who lost the most precious thing in their lives due to the inaction of our current governor, someone who's more interested in the NRA and the gun lobby and the radical fringe of his base, and those kids who were sitting in that classroom. This state is the same one thanks to him and his leadership, where it is now harder to vote or to register to vote than any other in the union. In fact, this March, during our primaries, a 95-year-old veteran who fought fascism half a world away to defend democracy at home in World War II, had his ballot rejected not once, but 3 times. And tell me there is someone who's earned the right to vote more than that man has. It is in this state, when I talk about darkness, you all lived it and experienced it and you understand it. In the energy capital of the world, when the temperature dropped last February, the man in power could not keep the power on for the people that he is supposed to serve. For days you were without lights, without heat, your pipes froze, and you were without water. Hundreds lost their lives, including an 11-year-old boy in Conroe, Texas, whose mother could not pile enough blankets on his shivering body to keep him alive. This is the state that we live in right now. But it does not have to be our future, our fortune, or our fate. As the chairman just said, it is all dependent on us and the decisions that we make right now, with fewer than 4 months left to us in the most important election in Texas history. But I want to tell you something that I've learned about the power of this community. The Sunday after that Dobbs decision, Rochelle Garza and I and many others organized a rally for reproductive health care rights in Austin, Texas. More than 6,000 people came out, and not just those from Austin. People traveled. People came up from Hidalgo and Cameron and Starr and Zapata counties as well. And one of them is here right now, a young woman named Stephanie. And she was just telling me that when she looked up and saw and listened to Rochelle Garza, a woman just like her from the Rio Grande Valley, an attorney, and Stephanie wants to be an attorney as well, and she's about to start law school, she told me a few times just a little while ago. When she saw Rochelle Garza on that stage, she said, you know what? I used to think that I didn't care about politics, that I didn't want to be involved, that this wasn't for me. On the spot, she signed up to host a canvass where she was going to go knock on doors here in this community. She did that today with 4 other young people. Talking to the voters in this community who will decide the outcome of this next election. In fact, in 2020, arguably the most important presidential election of our lifetimes, 154,000 people in Hidalgo County were eligible and legal to vote and didn't cast a ballot. 154,000. Since then, 34,000 have been added to the rolls. There's 188,000 of our fellow Texans in this community whose voices have yet to be heard, whose votes have yet to be counted. They could very well be the margin of victory in this next election if we will commit ourselves to following our chairman's lead, knocking on those doors, inviting people into this democracy that they think that they have been shut out from to begin with. And doing that not with any script that you get from me or from Rochelle or even from the party, but in your own words, from your own heart, talking about how important this election is to you. The bad things that we want to stop, that darkness that I just described, but also the beautiful, bold vision that we have as Texans. Like, let me try one out for you. What if we paid our school teachers and counselors and librarians a living wage? What if our retired teachers got a cost of living adjustment every single year? What if we canceled the STAR test and replaced it with something like public education a priority for all Texans? Here's another idea that I bet you we're going to have a hard time finding any Republican to argue the point. Now, I know that there are no more people who work harder than those in the Rio Grande Valley. And yet for the minimum wage to still be $7.25 an hour, for more people to be laboring under a living wage in this state than any other in the union, is unwise, it is immoral, and it has got to change. We need to make sure that we are creating the job opportunities in this community so people can stay here or move back here if they've moved away. In that forum that we just had with these young people that Stephanie helped to organize, one of the questions was, hey Beto, I want to stay in Edinburgh, but very often I find from my peers there are not the jobs here that will allow me to stay, and so I go to Dallas, or I go to Houston, or I go somewhere else. What if we had a governor, and an attorney general, and a lieutenant governor for that matter, who saw the Rio Grande Valley not as a photo opportunity, not as a chance to scare the rest of Texans about Mexicans who are coming to get you, but instead as one of our greatest opportunities to drive the economy and job growth in the state? When your current governor shut down the international bridges for more than a week, it hurt this community to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. Norma told me about the importers who depend on the produce that comes in from Mexico, that feeds us and is stocked on the shelves of our stores. Others told us about the Toyota Tundra factory in San Antonio, Texas. Those parts were waiting on the bridge. We're not going to be able to create those jobs if we see enemies in Mexico, a threat in those who want to come here for a better life. What we want to do is make sure that we create the job opportunities here, invest in the infrastructure that we need, and create legal, safe, orderly pathways for folks to come and work and join their families and see their families. In the least insured states in America, this is the least insured part of that state. The rates of obesity and heart disease and diabetes, curable cancers, the flu, the things that people are dying from right now in the Rio Grande Valley, in what is supposed to be a first world country, should cause us to feel shame and prod us to act until we change this. Imagine if we had a governor who would take yes for an answer, expand Medicaid, bring $10 billion more into this state, into this community, hire those providers, fund mental health care, and make sure that every person is healthy enough and well enough to live to their full potential. This is all within our power. And I close with some encouragement and some hope, because I think at this moment we desperately need it. Since we started this campaign, more than 77,000 people have stood up to be counted and said, Beto, put a clipboard in my hand, put me on the doors of these voters. I want to meet the people who can decide the future of this state. We've raised money from hundreds of thousands of you, and I thank you all. 10, 15 bucks at a time. It's adding up to real money that allows us to reach the voters of this state with our message. And listen, I don't know whether we can trust the polls that come out anymore. I don't know how often they get this right, but in December, a month after we launched this campaign, Quinnipiac, which is supposed to be the gold standard in political polling, measured this race. And they had Greg Abbott up 15 points over us. Well, a few weeks ago, they took a second look at Texas. We are down only 5 points now.